All right, good morning, everybody. Doc Severson with you here at Trade School for Friday, the 19th. I believe it's the 19th of April. Good morning, good afternoon to you guys. Happy Good Friday, good Easter weekend. Today's kind of a quiet day. We do have a market holiday in the United States as far as the traditional markets, obviously not with crypto. Crypto never sleeps. How are you guys doing out there today? Say hello if you can hear me. I want to make sure everything is working all right and dandy out there. Today I've got something a little bit different I want to share with you. I always want to do something a little bit different. First of all, I'm coming through a VPN, which is bridging over to Manchester, United Kingdom. And you'll see why I'm doing that in just a minute. So I'm hoping that the connection stays up. I'm going to try to keep this one fairly short because I've already had at least one dropout today. So I think the longer that I drone on, the more likely that I'm going to get dropped here on my VPN connection. So, all right. Hey, Ann. Hey, Nick. How we doing? Welcome aboard. So a couple of things here I want to go over with you guys. No advice, no nothing here. Today I'm going to be talking about Coinflex and HXRO, which is pronounced hero. Okay, so these are a couple of new vendors. Actually, they've been out for a couple of months now, but I'm going to go into those. So first of all, I'm going to go into Coinflex. They are a synthetic futures broker that offers a ladder interface. So hallelujah, somebody has heard our prayers about getting some kind of a ladder interface into the crypto futures market other than Digitex. So obviously these guys must be experienced futures traders. Otherwise, they wouldn't be using a ladder interface. Bright eyes, bushy tail, yeah. Okay, so at the time of this writing, they just have Bitcoin futures for Coinflex and no USA customers, of course. But there is no KYC, also known as Know Your Customer. So wink, wink. Nudge, nudge, say no more, say no more. Not that I would ever advocate doing something like that or breaking the law. So let's go over to the interface and take a wee look in terms of what we've got here. Yes, I'm a tab monster in Chrome. It's really, really bad. It's an addiction. So here is, let's big screen this. Here is the Coinflex interface, and I just got it set up this morning. I just talked him into taking my account this morning, so I'm not going to go into every single thing here. I just want to point out a couple of things. So first of all, again, like I said, it's only XBT, which is another way of saying Bitcoin. And what I want you to focus on here is what I've got is the XBT USDT 5-minute candle chart. And I'm not sure how well you can see this, and I'll try to zoom in on this, but herein lies the problem with this interface, is there is a distinct lack of liquidity. There is a distinct lack of liquidity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up, let's see, I'm going to bring up a window of TradingView. So I'm just going to drag this bugger over here and I'm going to type in, see if I can do this here, XBT US, let's see, and here's the BitMEX inverse perpetual contract. Now what I want you to look at is look at this chart and look how tight the candles are. This is an example of a fairly liquid market. What you're not seeing is a whole bunch of gaps, and you're not seeing a lot of these huge candles with tails on them. Not that that's a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing to see a high volume candle with a big tail on it. But what I don't want to see is I don't want to see the stuff just gapping all over the place. So let's pull that away for a second and let's go over to Coinflex. And that's what you got for Coinflex. So this is an example of an illiquid, lightly traded market. So this is the problem that Coinflex has, is that they don't have any automated market makers. They don't have, from what I can tell, anybody really making a market of any. There's no real liquidity. There's no locals in here mixing it up, stirring it up, filling in the gaps between what's going on here. So what you're seeing is just a couple of big orders come along, and then that pushes things around. And you're seeing quite a bit of, I mean, gaps like this that occur between, this is 52.32 and 52.80 happening in literally a blink of an eye. That is in a liquid market. So that's bad. I don't like to see that. That by itself means that I would not advocate trading this interface. The ladder is nice. Now I can't see what the ladder will do for me. I can't see if it offers any advanced orders or whether I can create bracket orders or anything like that. Let's look at this. And I'm clicking in here, but it's not doing anything. So apparently a limit order is all that I can do, so I can't create any kind of bracket or one cancels other. I'm sure that will come in time. Any ladder interface worth its own salt will offer some type of bracket or one cancels other or trailing stop type of interface. But basically what you would be doing is, here's the current price. Now the good thing here is that there's single point spreads, which is, as Nick has pointed out, which is what Digitex will be doing. So one of the problems that we have with like the CBOE futures is their 5-point minimum tick size, which is way too big in today's market. It was probably okay back in 2017 when things were screaming, hundreds of points a day higher. That, it didn't make any difference. But in today's market, you need single point Bitcoin bid-ask spreads, at least. And I think that should be okay for right now. But you can see this is not moving. It's not going anywhere. And this is a big problem. So Coinflex, good idea. Not bad execution. The interface looks okay. I've seen nicer looking interfaces. It's all right. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm sure it's functional. I'm sure it does everything it needs to do. But, they go out of their way not to allow U.S. customers onto this. So you have to play the game. You have to play the game with that, as well as the fact that it's nice that they do have a ladder in here. Okay, calendar spreads too. That'll be nice. That'll be nice to have a calendar spread on there as well too. So, okay. That's really, I just got this thing lit up this morning, so that's about all I know about it. They offer two-factor authentication, but they do it either through Authy or YubiKey. So they don't offer it through Google Authenticator. So you've got to download a new app and do it through Authy, or if you have a YubiKey, you have to use that. So it's a little bit funky, but overall not that difficult to get through. So anyway, not something I'm going to be using. Not something I'm going to be using. I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I would probably be, at this point, if I had to trade futures in the crypto space, I would probably still be forced to use BitMEX and take that risk that they would find out that I'm a U.S. customer. All right, so now I want to move over to Hero. Let's go over to Hero. All right. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. I mean, there's not much that I know other than, thumbs up, ladder interface, thumbs down, liquidity, not too good right now. So I would let that fill in first. Now this, I think you will find this interesting, if not from just like either a shocked, like stand back and like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody built this, to you might find this interesting from the perspective of, wow, that is really cool, or you might be shocked and horrified by it. I don't know. Some people I know are shocked and horrified by it. Other people I think find a lot of interest in it. Depends on what type of person and risk tolerance you have. So HXRO, it's pronounced Hero, is a binary options gaming site. based on their own HXRO token, similar to Digitex. So it's a utility token, and it's going for about 7.8 cents right now. So it's not particularly expensive. There's a whole ton of them out there. Not a real reason for people to invest in it. You know, you got to get the token. It's kind of like the Digitex thing. It's very, very similar to that. Okay. Price is based on, so you'll want to go back and look at this later on. And maybe I can, let me do this. I'm going to pull out of here and I'm going to actually copy this into the chat room and see if I can do this without destroying. So you want to copy that into your trading view, because the price is based on an average of 6 exchanges. So it's this is, oh, I'm sorry, this is all wrong. No, you can't do that. So let me bring this up. I'm going to bring this up on TradingView. It didn't copy everything. So let me show you what it actually is. Let's see. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring up, sorry about that, guys. I didn't see that it didn't copy the actual exchanges in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up this little window here of Discord. And I might see if I can zoom in on this for you guys. Okay, so take a screen snapshot of that. So it's a Binance, Bitfinex, BitMEX, Bitstamp, Coinbase, and Kraken average of Bitcoin divided by 6. So if you can see this in the middle here. Thank you, Trog, for posting this. So you can see this in the middle. And that's what you want to set up on your trading view. So that's what they're using as a Bitcoin average price, which I think is smart on their behalf. So I apologize. The actual ticker symbol that I posted in the chat room is not going to work for you guys because it did take out. So I did have to type this in because this is a graphic, unfortunately. But once you do that, you should be able to figure it out. So anyway, this is what we have here. This is the average. This is the average in TradingView, and you'll see that in just a minute. So I'm sorry this didn't come out, but there are two components here. Now I'll show you the insanity here in a minute, and this will all make sense to you guys. Direction and sentiment. So what you have to do is, first of all, you have to predict which direction that the price will go in the next 5 minutes. And you may think, oh my God, you're kidding me. Are you serious? That's why it's a binary option. And this will make sense to you in a minute. The other thing that you need to understand is what the sentiment is for that. So if everybody piles on, if it's so blindingly obvious that the price is going higher, everybody piles on the moon side. It's either moon or wrecked. You'll love it. Then there's not going to be much of a payout. So it's like any other sort of gambling thing. If there's, there's odds to that. So if everybody thinks it's going to go in one direction. However, if you take the opposite side to that, your payout may be extreme. So maybe you have a low probability trade in terms of the current direction, but your payout could be extreme for something like that. But it won't affect the cost that you have, but you can choose to downscale your investment. So let's go over to the interface. There's no easy way to explain this insanity other than to just show you what's going on. So here is the hero interface. And so conveniently, they include a little API to TradingView. Now, this is not the correct, this is just the BitMEX chart. This is not the combined symbol that you want. So this is just BitMEX. So don't look at this and think that this is the actual price that they're using. So what we're doing here, let's see. Let's go back to, okay. Here is the current card. This is what's called a card. And maybe they'd make this a little bit more serious if they used colors other than, looks like some kind of porn store or something like that. I don't know what this is. But you can see that the payout for the price going higher is 1.9. And it's pretty well balanced because the payout to go down is about 1.93. So it looks like more people piled on out of the pool, right? So 26.67, a lot more people thought that it would go down than up. And right now you can see it flipping back and forth between moon or wrecked, and it's going to conclude here in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So what you do is you're getting ready for the next card. You either think that the price is going to go higher or you think the price is going to go lower from here. So you're either going to pick moon or wrecked, and what you're going to do is you're going to put your position size into this and then lock and enter that. Okay, so I'm not going to put one in here because I'm not analyzing it, but so moon or wrecked, you pick that, and then what happens in 1 minute and 40 seconds after you enter that, boom, everything gets locked. A lock price is set, and there you go. And then you have to sit there in misery for the next 5 minutes, whether or not, and find out whether or not you win. Okay, so it's really that simple. Now, you can also do 15-minute, or I think there's even 1 hour. So this is just like binary options. Binary options is exactly the same way. The one thing I do like is that the spread width is obviously very narrow on here, because 1 penny will determine the difference between winning and losing. Unlike most binary options where the spread is so you're either selling or buying something that's so wide that I was never able to do this very successfully with true binary options. Like, I forget the name of the broker that I was using. So we'll watch this one conclude here in a minute. You can see that it had flipped up and down. Now you can see that the, excuse me, the pools are actually quite large now. There's 4,000 in the pool. And this one's 1,100. This one's a few minutes upcoming, and there's 977 in there. So there's actually quite a few people in there. So it's fairly liquid right now. It's fairly liquid. So again, the determination as to whether you win and how much you win is based on your direction, getting it right. So it looks like right now the wreckers looks like are going to win this one. We'll see. Right now it's a red candle, and we're going to find out. Okay, wrecked by 40. So this will slide over into the next one. Oh, it already did. Okay, so now this one slid over here. So this one was the winning trade here, was looking to the downside. So if you'd picked the downside on this one, you would have won. And if you'd put 10 in, you'd receive 19 back. That's the way that this works. Could I expound on what binaries are? Binary is yes or no, right? Binary, think about a binary bit is a 1 or a 0. So either you win, and you win based on what you put in versus the payout, times the payout, or you lose. And if you lose, you just lose what you put into it. So if I'm going to enter into the next one, if I set my entry as 10 hero tokens, that's the most that I can lose on this. That's it, period. And then my winnings will be whatever the payout is. So notice that this one is slightly different. Notice that the price is starting to work to the downside a little bit, or people are starting to lean to the downside because now the payout to the downside is much smaller than the payout to the upside. So the game here is two things. It's getting the direction right, over the next, it's forecasting the direction for the next 5 minutes. And then a more advanced skill would be finding edge where you're taking the opposite side of the herd. The opposite side of the herd will increase your payout. So in other words, on this one, if you put 10 tokens in and if you won this one, you get 23 back because the payout is 2.3x. So that's what a binary is. Binary means either you win or you lose within a certain time frame. And the expirations on these are every 5 minutes. So, you know, a lot of purists will look at this and say, well, this is just gambling. And that may be true. For most people, if you just look at this and just pick green or pink, depending on whether you just feel bullish or you just feel bearish, and if you don't put any analysis into it, then it truly is gambling. It's no different. And you don't have to wait very long to find out how much you win or how much you lose. And so for the compulsive gamblers out there, this is going to be addictive and this is going to be dangerous depending on how much you invest into this. However, for those, remember the big difference between trading and gambling is that gambling, you are not allowed to have an edge. They will escort you out of the casino if you have an edge. With trading, you're allowed to have an edge. It's legal to have an edge. So what is your edge? Your edge is your patience in determining what is the trend, what would be a good entry in this. And it's always going to be better if you catch the turn. So in other words, if you look at this chart, somebody that caught the turn down there, obviously somebody's going to be very bearish and everybody was piling on wrecked as the price went down. Right? So as the price went down over those last few minutes, I'm sure everybody was leaning bearish. And so the upside payout was much, much bigger. So anybody that caught the turn on this would have been paid out much, much better. And you can make the same case for any of these turning points here. Now, good question by Ann. Is there any chance of changing your mind? Actually, you can. You can change your mind. I don't know how long you can change it up to, but once you lock in there, you can actually flip if you want to, but I don't know how long they allow you to flip or how many times they allow you to flip for. So what they do is if you register, they will give you 100 free tokens to play with, which is, you know, the equivalent of, what is that, $8, something like that. So they'll give you some play money so you can get in there and tangle and start to learn. So I wouldn't invest anything into this until you, so now we got the next payout. Okay, so we're loading this one. Let's see who won this one over here. So Rect is still winning. Rect is still winning. And an okay payout, although. So now what we have is we have 25.11 to the downside. We have 25.30 to the upside. So pretty well balanced payout back and forth. And this makes sense because the chart is just sitting there walking sideways. So you definitely want to look for something where you've got a trend in your favor where it's easier to pick the direction. So right now this would be kind of difficult. You have a little bit of a, so I'm not really going to go into like at this point how you set up a strategy because I haven't really thought about this that much. Yesterday was the first day I got on this account. But I could see, I mean, there are people that are doing really, really well on this. There are people doing really, really well on this. And it comes down to, again, your patience, finding an opportunity to identify a trend, jump on board the trend. And the earlier that you jump on board that trend, the better off your payoff's going to be. So Nick is saying, I see directions being a 50-50 chance, so mostly it's a money management skill, keeping size small, betting for the biggest payoff should produce timer. Well, okay, so here's the thing. There's ways, and this is something I'm going to talk about in the small account class. If you can build an expectancy, and I would believe that your expectancy or probability of winning, right? So your probability of winning, if every single time you put in the same amount, same amount, same amount, if you can find a way to get a small probability edge here, and it may only be 5%, then your edge in this, your ability to be able to make gains in this is going to be based on your ability to follow that pattern and perhaps even use dynamic money management with this. So as you reach a certain level of winnings, then you're on house money. So let's just assume that this is your beginning point. You get profits up to this point here, and then if you do have a positive profit factor, once you reach that level, then you kick into perhaps a 1.5x or a 2x position size. And at no point would you ever drop down below your house money, even if you lost that trade. But this is how you can get those hockey stick kind of growth curves. But again, it all depends on you building a system and having extraordinary discipline behind it. So it's an interesting challenge. How do you build edge on a 5-minute chart? Are there different times of, you can think about all the different inputs here. Are there different times a day when you're going to more than likely see decent trending action? And if we go to, we just have a 5-minute chart up here, and you can see plenty of times where we've had, here's a trend where we have 1, 2, 3, 4 candles in a row. Here's another trend where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles in a row to the downside. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles in a row to the upside. Those are going to be based on sentiment extremes. When we have a choppy market like this, do we have, actually this could be where we actually have oversold, overbought during that period. So we could use very simple sentiment analysis for this. So yeah, actually, Ann, I think it's fairly simple, but it's actually a very simple process. But the complication comes in identifying where the edge is. And if you can do this, you can do this. If you can find edge in this market, you can find an edge anywhere. But I think also the challenge with this, so I played one round yesterday, and it was, so one of the things I did was I waited until maybe the last 15 seconds or so to place my bet, because, I wanted to see whether or not it was still in that direction. And, I didn't want to get in too early. I don't know if there's any advantage to getting in early or waiting until the last second. It's kind of like an eBay auction, right? So there it is. It's that simple. So it's really interesting. There's actually a hell of a lot of people that are on here now. So they had a huge waiting list. It took me about 2 weeks to clear their waiting list, and they're starting to progressively open it up to more and more people. Again, supposedly not for U.S. customers. Here we go again. But there it is. Do you guys have any questions? That's really what I wanted to bring up to you guys today, was a couple of new tools here, a couple of different ways to trade. Everybody's got to find their own thing. A lot of people are just better off as hodlers, right? Just find your fundamental coins and just hold on to them, or dollar cost average. Other folks are more active and like to actively pursue edge in the markets. So find your thing and pursue that edge. Okay, any other questions? Anything else you got on your mind today? Again, it's going to be a slow day in the markets. Not much change from last night's report. So, okay, I'll wait just a couple of minutes here to see if anything comes in, because I know there's a delay. And we're on a VPN. Hey, we made it through it. Is there an option for you to see the ladder? There is no ladder with this interface. It's binary. It's either you're just going to go long or you're going to go short, moon or rect. I'm assuming you're talking about Hero here. And this is Coinflex, as we talked about. So look at Coinflex. It's still like flying all over the place here. This is the same index that we're just looking at with this chart down here. And you can see this one is just coiling sideways, and Coinflex is like all over the place. And that's due to the low liquidity for this. And you're just not seeing the ladder moving around much at all. You should see the ladder flying up and down if it was moving like that. All right, looks like we're clear. All right, I'd like to, wish everybody a good Easter weekend. Enjoy times with your family. I hope that you get a chance to hang out with folks. And I'm gonna run into the Doc's mother. So I'm gonna go see Mom tomorrow and have a little Easter lunch with her. So I hope you guys have a good weekend, and that is it from Trade School here at ReadySetCrypto. You guys take care now.
There goes a sight from my soul. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul.